Hello, my name is Kilsby-Steele, and today I wanted to share a story with you of how I pushed my 65-year-old dad through to walk down this path and climb up this face. Let me give you some context for the day. We were away on a van trip in France during the COVID pandemic. A great idea, right? The fact that we were travelling during this time meant that my dad's mental state was already at a high stress place, meaning overcoming his vertigo would be even more challenging. We had 3 days left on the trip, and we had yet to begin climbing, so I found a crag, and on a Sunday we set off to go climb. We walked through some woods and then onto the top of the cliff. It was at this point my dad froze, sat down and said, "I cannot go any further." He described what he saw as drops all around him, a narrow steep path which made him feel sick and unstable. This was much to my disappointment, but I understood that he could not be forced down this path, so we went back to the van, had lunch, to which I expected this was the end of the day and the end of my chance to climb on this trip in France. But how I was wrong. Over the next 3 hours, my dad would repeatedly head back to the cliff top pathway and, slowly fighting his mental game, get further and further down the path in a total of 4 attempts to get to a point where he felt he might actually be able to get from the top of the cliff to the climbing site. At this point he came back to the van and said, "Son, let's try and get to the bottom." As we headed off down the steps, I set out using distraction and motivation to get him to the bottom of the cliff face, and to his great credit, he made it down quick and with no fuss. A massive win, considering that morning he could not even venture from the top of the cliff. Now, we both understood that we should not try and overcome this pathway and the fear of climbing all in one day, so we went back to our overnight site and came back the next morning. The next day, there was no fuss, and my dad even beat me to the bottom of the cliff. What a massive change. At the bottom of the cliff, I proceeded to climb the easy climbs, and my father even ventured into trying a climb. The first route, he could not bring his mind to trust his feet, and could not get more than 2 meters off the floor, which even that is class considering the view from behind him. It felt pretty exposed and high off the ground. My dad was not done for the day though. He had one last mental fight in him. On the last climb of the day, he picked up the courage and climbed the whole route to the way to the top of this exposed cliff. By gum, he was smiling when he got to the floor. We then packed up and headed back to the van. He wants more climbing. I wanted to share this story with you because it amazes me how people can overcome a challenge such as this, and yet still get such enjoyment from doing so. My dad is a pretty ordinary guy, but this was an amazing day and he truly was a legend. Every one of us can be like him. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a like for me. It really helps me know what storytelling to bring to you guys, and if you want more adventure storytelling like this, please give my channel a sub.